Okay, let's dive right into this. Because honestly, is there anything more frustrating than putting in the hard work, grinding day in and day out, and then not getting paid fairly? It's the worst. If you're a worker in Pennsylvania and you're feeling cheated out of your rightful earnings, listen, you are not alone. And more importantly, you have rights. Missing your hard-earned pay creates very real financial strain and, frankly, a ton of stress. But you don't have to just sit there and take it. Think of this explainer as your empowered action guide. We're going to break down exactly how you can enforce your rights under Pennsylvania labor laws so you can take confident, effective action and get the money you are legally owed. So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover an introduction to wage claims, understanding your eligibility, the step-by-step filing process, navigating the system, resources and support, and we'll wrap up with some frequently asked questions. All right, Section 1, Introduction to Wage Claims. So, what exactly is wage theft? Simply put, wage theft is when an employer fails to pay you your legally or contractually mandated wages. That includes minimum wage, overtime, or those final paychecks. And look, this isn't just some minor clerical error. It is a massive, systemic issue. To put it into perspective, in any given week, almost 400,000 Pennsylvanians experience a minimum wage violation. That adds up to a staggering $32 million in lost wages every single week. That's a ton of money just being kept from hardworking people. So what does this actually look like on the ground? Well, here are the most common wage disputes governed by the Pennsylvania Minimum Wage Act and the Wage Payment and Collection Law. It could be unpaid regular wages, or maybe your boss somehow forgets to issue that final paycheck when you quit. Then there are minimum wage violations where you're getting paid less than the state minimum of $7.25 an hour. Or unpaid overtime, meaning you aren't getting that time and a half rate when you work more than 40 hours in a week. Another huge one, illegal deductions. Like imagine you work in retail, your cash drawer comes up short, or you accidentally break something. Your employer generally cannot just deduct that cost straight out of your paycheck. No way. And finally, things like tip violations or being forced to work off the clock. Those are prime examples of wage theft too. Moving right along to Section 2, understanding your eligibility. Who actually gets covered in Pennsylvania? Well, Pennsylvania labor laws protect all PA-based employees, and they cover earned compensation, like your regular wages, commissions, and bonuses. But this brings us to a massive hurdle employers often use to dodge paying out those wages, worker misclassification. It's a real game changer if you don't know what to look for. Think about the difference here. A true independent contractor bears their own financial risk, they run their own business, they set their own hours, and they juggle multiple clients. But a misclassified employee, that's someone whose boss controls the details of the work, your hours, your specific methods, your daily tasks, making you totally integral to their business. Pennsylvania uses what they call the economic reality test to figure this out. So, long story short, even if your boss slaps the label contractor on you, if you look and act like an employee, you likely still have rights under these laws. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Section 3, the step-by-step filing process, taking action with the BLLC. Here is exactly how you make this happen. Step 1, gather your documentation. Before you do anything else, collect your evidence. We're talking pay stubs, your personal timesheets, your employment contract, and any texts or emails you have about the pay dispute. Got 'em? Good. Step 2, attempt internal resolution. Now, you aren't legally required to do this, but sending a professional written request to your boss or HR department creates a really vital paper trail. It proves you tried to fix it and puts them on official notice. And step 3, if they still don't fix it, file the formal complaint. You'll be submitting Form LLC-1 or LLC-9 with the Bureau of Labor Law Compliance. And honestly, submitting that complaint is incredibly straightforward. You've got options. You can file directly online, which is usually the fastest route, but you can also fax it, email it to ra-slimmerllc@pa.gov, or just mail the physical form right to the BLLC up in Harrisburg. And the absolute best part? There is zero filing fee. It is totally free to submit. Oh, and for anyone who might need it, all these forms are fully available in Spanish too. All right, Section 4. Navigating the labor board system. So what exactly happens after you hit submit? Well, because of high case volumes across the state, I'll be honest, these investigations can take several months. But here's the general timeline of how it all unfolds. On day 1, a notice of investigation is officially served to your employer. Over the next 1 to 3 months, investigators actually have the authority to conduct unannounced on-site inspections of the business. Yeah, they can just show up. They'll audit payroll records, and they can even pull you and your coworkers aside for confidential, private interviews to uncover any systemic issues.
Heading into months 3 to 6, the BLLC will step in and try to mediate a settlement, so your employer just pays what's owed. And finally, the whole thing wraps up with a formal determination, or if the employer is just flat out refusing to comply, a referral for a civil lawsuit.
Now here is a crucial point you definitely want to remember: the 60-day rule. Pennsylvania law has this very unique incentive to stop employers from just dragging their feet. If your boss ignores a valid claim for 60 days after you filed that formal complaint with the BLC, you might actually be entitled to an additional statutory penalty. That means you could pocket an extra 25% of your total unpaid wages, or $500 in liquidated damages, whichever's greater. So yeah, it really pays to file officially.
Now, I need to warn you, it is incredibly easy to accidentally file the right complaint with the wrong agency, which can totally ruin your case. Let's break this down real quick. If you're trying to recover actual unpaid wages, that goes to the BLLC, and you have a 3-year deadline. Pretty generous. But if you were fired because of your race, age, or gender, that's a discrimination claim. That goes to the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission, and you only have a tight 180 days to file. What about unemployment appeals? That's the UC Board of Review, and you only have a super strict 21-day window for that. So please double-check that you're pointing your specific claim in the right direction.
Section 5. Additional resources and support. We're talking safety nets and alternative routes. So, while your individual paycheck complaints go straight to the BLLC, you should definitely know that the Pennsylvania Office of Attorney General is also a major player in labor enforcement. The difference is they usually step in for the big stuff: large-scale systemic wage theft or massive workplace discrimination cases that affect a whole company or region rather than just one person's paycheck dispute.
You also have another really powerful option: direct judicial action. Get this. You aren't legally required to go through the BLLC at all. You can completely bypass the administrative system and file a civil lawsuit directly in the Court of Common Pleas. This is usually the go-to route if you've got a private attorney. And hey, if you're worried about how expensive a lawyer is, don't be. There are some incredible resources out there. Organizations like Legal Aid of Southeastern Pennsylvania, or LASP, provide free civil legal aid and representation for low-income and vulnerable workers. The takeaway here? Do not let the fear of legal fees stop you from exploring all your options.
Finally, Section 6, frequently asked questions. Let's clear up some common misconceptions. First question we get all the time: how long do I actually have to file? Well, the magic number in Pennsylvania is 3 years. The statute of limitations for filing a wage claim under state law is generally 3 years from the exact date those wages were originally due. But listen to me on this. Do not wait around. Evidence gets lost, memories fade. The sooner you file, the much stronger your case is going to be. Next up is probably the biggest fear workers have. What if my boss fires me for filing a claim? Let me be crystal clear. It is strictly 100% illegal for your employer to retaliate against you for pursuing an unpaid wages claim. If you ask for your rightful pay and they react by firing you, demoting you, or suddenly cutting your hours, you have immediate legal recourse for wrongful discharge. The law absolutely has your back for speaking up. Before we completely wrap things up today, I just need to note that the information in this explainer provides general educational information, not legal advice. Employment law is a web of really complex statutes and incredibly strict deadlines that change depending on the exact facts of your case. So please always consult with a legal professional to evaluate your unique situation. All right, which brings us to one final thought. You've put in the sweat, you've done the work, but have you actually been paid for it? Are you ready to step up and reclaim what you have rightfully earned? If your paycheck is falling short, you now have the knowledge and the roadmap to fix it. So go gather your records, organize your evidence, and take that empowered first step toward getting the pay you absolutely deserve. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.